Welcome to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting important events, fascinating people, and challenging issues. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Every once in a while, I get to just bring on someone who I consider a cool person. This is one of those weeks. He's not just a neat guy, but he has done some remarkable things in his life, and he is still a young man. Let's welcome my buddy and friend, Eddie Melton. So, I got to ask you, Eddie.
All right.
Do people ever say you look like somebody?
No.
Somebody
Never heard
famous or something?
Never heard it.
Never heard it? Come on.
No.
Nobody?
I've heard Tyler Perry before. I don't know.
As long as they don't say you look like, Jada Pinkett Smith or something.
No, somebody go that route. We're all right.
Hey, well, the audience might say, well, why did you have Eddie Melton on this show? And, you've done some really interesting things in your life. And, you're from this area. You grew up in Gary, right?
Yeah.
What was it like growing up here?
Love the area. Born and raised in Gary. I went to Horseman High School, graduated in '99. Had an opportunity to go to school with some fascinating people. Football was my sport, and that was one of the things that helped me kind of achieve at an early age. Working and at the skill set of being a quarterback at Horseman was
you were a quarterback?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity.
Okay. Were you good?
I would think so. I don't know. I'll let my peers make that judgment.
Did your team win games?
Yeah, we did okay. We did okay. But it was a good leadership development opportunity, being able to lead a team. So I learned a lot at that time frame. But just the Horseman School was like a family. So we had a close-knit environment, the teachers, the administration, and things of that nature. So I value my experience in the Gary School Corporation and wouldn't trade it for the world. So I have friends all across the country now because of that.
So I want to talk about the friends across the country because people say, why do you have Eddie Melton on here? You're how old now?
32.
32. You're still quite a young man, right? But you've been getting some nice national recognition, and you've been asked to kind of be a spokesperson for some groups and some things. So what are some of these things you're connecting to on a nationwide basis now?
Well, nationally, I've been advocating for a while for mentoring and just encouraging folks to become a mentor, look at the opportunities to volunteer at local organizations, take the time to stop by and give encouraging words to youth, no matter if they're connected with a program or not. So within the last couple of months, there's a publication based out of New York called Brother Magazine, which allowed me the opportunity to become their national spokesperson for National Mentoring Month, which is January. So right now we're just putting together some pieces of some information to highlight mentoring and encourage folks to look at the opportunity. It doesn't take a lot of time. I think that's one of the myths that people believe that mentoring takes a lot of time.
But how'd they connect to you? That's the question, this magazine. How?
Right.
You're a guy just mentoring and beating the drum for the cause, but how'd they find you?
Well, I have a few articles in several national publications where it highlighted the mentoring piece. I've been doing mentoring for a very long time. Well, to me, it's been a long time, since 2006. So since 2006.
2006, that's 8 years. Wow.
Right.
But that still that's a significant commitment of doing that for those 8 years.
Well, it started out volunteering with local organizations, helping them develop and create programs where they can build some type of infrastructure, not just to have the service, but can you track success? Can we see success in these students after they come into your programming? So I've been working with organizations for a very long time, trying to make sure that they have those type of programs in place.
Well, I want to come back to why you mentor, but so this you were writing articles for this magazine? Was that
Correct.
What the deal was? So again, go back to how'd they connect up to you to start writing articles? Because there's lots of people out there like, I'd like to write for a magazine. So how'd that happen?
Well, they did a cover story on me first.
You were a cover boy. So what
They did the story first, and after that opportunity, they asked me to submit a few pieces in place in their publication. So it just kind of built the momentum there, and they made the ask and see if I was willing and able to make that commitment to be the national spokesperson. So a lot of speaking opportunities are starting to come around right now. I'll be going to California, working with a very close friend by the name of Tyree Buchanan out in California. He works for the mayor's office there, working with gang prevention activities. So we're looking at implementing some program there. So just want to be a good steward of some of the knowledge that I've learned and acquired over the years. So just want to be helpful.
Well, I've known known you for a while, and I know you're kind of a humble guy, so I got to kind of keep pulling this out of you. So again, back to, how did you become the cover story for the magazine then?
I think that's a good question. I think
of course
just the relationship with some of the right people that introduced me to a lot of some of the key editors of some of these publications, and it's been a good opportunity just to be in this position right now. So I want to make sure I represent the region well, represent the city of Gary well, and let folks know that mentoring is a great tool, it's a great activity to increase the quality of life in a lot of our youth right now, especially in the urban areas.
So they keep, a number of organizations keep kind of grabbing you and pushing you out there, or putting you in front of everybody and saying, here's a great role model for mentoring and doing other things. Why do you think they keep picking you?
Well, I think there's a lot of other people that's being recognized as well.
There's that humble thing again. Right?
Well, but yeah, I think I try to be very aware of the lifestyle that I live, and I realize that I have children, and I want them to be proud of some of the decisions, or most of the decisions I made over my lifetime. So hopefully the way I was raised and my mother raised me, and some of the morals and values that she instilled in me may have, I guess, that light have been shown. And I guess some people wanted me to kind of represent that, which is humbling, and I appreciate that opportunity, but I just want to be of service, and it's something you taught us in Illinois.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Okay. Now, 4 kids, two girls, 2 boys.
Yes.
You got to say all their names and ages so that they can say, Dad,
right.
You said my name on TV, right?
We have Anaya, that's 12. We have Melanie, that's 7. We have Eddie Jr. at 5, and Christian, which is 3.
So Eddie Jr. got the name in there, right?
Yes, I had to get one in.
There's another one of you.
It's coming.
And you're taking him with you tomorrow to the Martin Luther King celebration, right?
Correct. We're going to see how this goes. Hopefully he'll be patient and listen to the speeches and things. I try to give my children an opportunity to see various activities in the community and participate in various events. So I just want to train them to behave publicly.
That's so important. I've been a big advocate for that for years, and always did that with my kids. Back to when you first started, when did you first kind of start mentoring others?
Unique story. When I came back home from college in 2003, I started working at Edgewater. I worked as a child care worker, and worked a midnight shift, then moved up and started working a shift from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Good shift, right?
Yeah. I moved up, and it was a good shift. But I realized that a lot of the children were going to school at that time frame, and it was one young man that stayed behind during that time. And I would ask the case manager, I said, why is he still staying here while they're going off to school? And he was expelled from school, to make a long story short. So he and I developed a relationship during my work schedule. We would talk, we would play games, I would cut his hair, things like that. So we just built sort of like a big brother, little brother relationship. So after sitting down and talking and learning his experience of why he was expelled from school, I said, you know what, let's see if we can get you back in. So went to the school, sat down, talked with the principal and the dean, and we discussed the issue at hand. And I kind of advocated at that point in time to say, is there a way, and he was a senior, that we can create some type of accountability for him, and I will help and kind of be that support system. So they let him back in school. He was able to graduate that year. And when we walked away from that experience, I said, wow, I can do this for the rest of my life. It was rewarding, it felt good. Then the case manager said, you should become his mentor. Now keep in mind, it's 2006, the word mentoring was not as popular as it was right now. So I said, mentoring, what do you mean? So she said, you should be his mentor. So make a long story short, with this piece, the judge over his case appointed me his mentor, where he couldn't leave the facility unless I would attend or go to various locations. We would go to the movies, and I would take him to go see some of his relatives and things of that nature. So,
how old were you when that happened?
I was probably early to mid-20s.
Okay.
So it just kind of grew from there. And I started building kind of a structure around the program to create a mentoring piece. So a lot of people helped me along the way to learn how to develop that.
That's kind of interesting because at that age, your buddies are probably out partying a little bit instead of going hanging out with a kid who's 15 or 16 or something. Your buddies are partying. Did you feel any like, what is wrong with you, Eddie, that you're doing that, not hanging out with us?
I had that question asked a lot, but I think now they see why. I always knew that I wanted to come back home to Gary. I wanted to come back home to the area. I didn't know exactly what I would be doing, but I knew that I wanted to be a positive impact in some individuals' lives. The only boy that raised in the family, and a lot of friends in the neighborhood that we engaged with and had fun may have chosen a different pathway than I did, and I always knew that I wanted to help people make the right choices, not by dictating, but just kind of being an example.
Do you ever know what happened to him? Have you stayed in touch with him?
Yeah, you know what? One of the things that he wanted to do, he wanted to be an entrepreneur. Yeah, he wanted to start his own business, and right now he owns a auto detailing shop in Indianapolis. So
really?
He's an adult. He has a family, so we still stay in touch to this day.
That is very cool. You know, it reminds me of how important those relationships are. I know when I was in college, Friday afternoons spent time at a daycare center, it was a Head Start program, and I had this one kid who just like beat on me. I mean, he was like 4 years old, and I thought, this kid hates me. The last day I was there, you know, he came up and hugged me, and it's like, I made a difference in this kid's life. I thought that he didn't like me, you know, but it feels good when that happens. I mean, how do you feel about that relationship with this kid when you talk about him now?
It's a rewarding experience. That's one of the main reasons why, to this day, I've been encouraging folks to become a mentor. Recently, we've been traveling around with the Indiana Youth Institute, encouraging businesses to get into mentoring, looking at allowing their employees to at least give them 1 hour a week to mentor. Some great examples across the state. Old National Bank was one of those examples where in the Terre Haute area they had some great success in the local school area. So just 1 hour a week is one of the mottos that we've really been trying to get out there, is that it doesn't take a lot of time. Just give it a try.
Now, you got 4 kids, you're doing mentoring, and you do have a job, what's called a job, right? Every once in a while that you have to make.
Yes.
And I got to be careful because your employer is one of the underwriters of this show, I think, NIPSCO, right?
Right, let's be careful.
Be careful. So, you know, how do you get this time away to go, you know, promote all these things? Because I know you've been spending some time in Texas and Indianapolis, and you're out kind of running around promoting some of these things.
Right.
How does that fit into what you're doing in your job?
Well, being the manager of corporate citizenship and employee involvement, that's one of the pieces this is a privilege. First off, NIPSCO is one of the best places to work in the state of Indiana.
Okay, now they get the plug.
and it is. You can ask anyone that works there. It's a great environment, great team. So I just value the experience. But we also have mentoring as part of some of our corporate citizenship activities. We have the Empower Mentoring Program, where we started with 15 students from Gary, Maryville, and the Lake Ridge school districts.
Okay.
So these students come in between 6 to 8 weeks, and we pair them up with a mentor. It could be an engineer, it could be someone in the human resources or accounting, and just expose them to the careers, the potential careers in the energy sector.
So it's just, again, I think we need the audience to hear the simplicity of the concept of just spending time with a young person and showing interest in them. I mean, isn't it as simple as that?
It's just that simple. You know, sometimes when you talk with a for-profit entity, you have to make the business case for it as well. So when I look at mentoring, of course it sounds all warm and fuzzy and, oh, that's cute, that's nice, but what's the return on investment? When we looked at the Empower Mentoring Program, we said we need a future pipeline of employees, and we need to start building a relationship. We looked at various models across the country. We looked at, we went to betterhour.org, which is one of the resources with Indiana Youth Institute. And when you look at 21st Century Scholars, which is a scholarship initiative for low-income students that was created in, I believe, the early 90s, this allows students to stay in the state of Indiana tuition-free. And I said,
that's
wow,
a great program.
It is.
Yeah.
And not a lot of kids take advantage of that program or utilize those dollars. So I said, what if we select this population, expose them to a possible career in the energy sector, and include incentives such as scholarships and various other perks like that, dual credit courses where NIPSCO sponsored, and that's exactly what we've done. The likelihood of them staying in the state of Indiana because they're a 21st century scholar is going to be greater than them going off to college.
Yeah,
to another state.
You know, I've been beating this drum for a long time because, you know, when you show interest in a young person, even as a business, the business case, they eventually can become a customer, they eventually become an employee. If nothing else, they speak highly of your company, you know, to people who are customers and who are potential employees. And I think people just miss that. Why do they miss that so? I mean, it seems obvious to me and you. Why do other people miss it?
To me, it's a form of economic development, if you want to look at it that way. You just said it, moving back to the area or staying in the area, well educated, being able to help upkeep a neighborhood. Those things help develop community, which makes it a higher quality of life, which makes it safer, healthier, and what business wouldn't want to locate in a community that's healthy, safe? I think it's a win-win, and with the opportunities or a pool of people that is highly educated and able to be hired as a quality worker.
It's back to creating those connections and really nurturing those connections, because, you know, we wonder why people run off. Well, if they have nothing that holds them here, they leave. But if they have a relationship going, I know Eddie, I know Keith, I know people, they want to stay here more, don't you see that?
I totally agree with that. Just connecting, you hit it right on the head right there. Making the connection is key. It's
probably not always roses either. You got a mentoring relationship that's like, oh man, this did not work really well, or it went bad.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we encourage folks to receive some type of training. In my previous job, we would create a training model. It was called Center for Mentors, which was established through the Legacy Foundation. And we would train the trainer, train other individuals to go out and train mentoring programs or youth serving organizations to become effective mentoring. Because the reality of it is, sometimes bad mentoring is worse than no mentoring at all.
Right.
So we wanted people to be equipped and ready to help these kids reach the destination.
Well, and sometimes people think it's bad mentoring because it just doesn't work really well, but you never know what impact you've had on that kid, even if that kid at the moment doesn't seem like they're absorbing the message or goes off and continues to make some bad decisions. Some of those good things that you've said to them, or those still stick with them, don't you think?
Yeah. Sometimes it probably could be intimidating for some people to get into mentoring because of that. They don't want to give them the wrong information, or they may they think they will come across like an authoritative figure or something. Well, that's where the training comes into place, because every child is different. They have different needs at different times. Some it may be from a poverty perspective, some it may be from an academic perspective. How do you address these issues? So training is going to be essential for anyone that's going to go through mentoring.
But sometimes it's the simplicity of just listening and really caring.
That's it. Well, what is a mentor? A listener, a coach, an advocate, someone that can be there and represent you and be that ear.
So, you know, you've had a really interesting career, and many people, if they looked and kind of plotted your trajectory, it's been pretty uphill. I mean, you've worked, you know, for Edgewater, then you worked for the Legacy Foundation. You've done interesting things. You've ended up at NIPSCO. You're in a great job. You really are making a great impact. What do you attribute that to, that you've had this really nice career path?
Well, every day I thank God for the opportunities that I've come across. I think it's just a support system that I've had. My family has been very supportive for every job, every activity I'm engaged in, and they realize that I'm trying to do good work for not just my family, but for also the community at large as well. So I think that foundation, that family foundation, is very important, and it helps me get through the day. But you know, it feels good when you walk in the house and you see your kids, and that motivates you to do more and more every day.
Well, and I'm gonna help you out here again, and you got a pretty supportive wife, right?
Oh, of course. I was going to get there. I was going to go there. I was saving that segment.
Here's your chance, because we're down to the last minute. So
no, my wife, she's been very supportive. She's done a great job managing the household when I'm not there, even going back to go get her master's, working for NISOURCE in the human resources. So she's done a phenomenal job, and I have to applaud her for the great work she's done.
She saw that, I'm sure.
Exactly.
She did. So you're a leader in this community. Do you see yourself as a leader in this community?
Well, that's a good question. I would say yes, and it's hard for me to say that because when you don't want to put yourself in that position. But to me, leadership is being able to make the right choices and decisions, helping folks get to where they need to be. And I try to strive to do that every day. So I may not be where I want to be as a leader. I feel as if I'm evolving every day and every year. So I appreciate the opportunities of leadership.
Well, I'll affirm and reaffirm, because I hear it from everybody all the time. If you talk about a leader and somebody who's a real up-and-coming leader beyond this, they always talk about Eddie Melton. So thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing all the wonderful things you do in the community.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Eddie. It's quite easy and even somewhat fashionable for the older crowd to bash the younger crowd. You might hear some say, "These kids are lazy and only think of themselves. They don't know how to do anything. All they do is play games and listen to that terrible rap music. Why do they all get tattoos and pierce every part of their body?" Before we continue to condemn, let's take a short trip back to the 1960s, where we would hear the adult population make these comments. "These kids are lazy and only think of themselves. They don't know how to do anything. All they do is listen to that loud rock music. Why do they all dress like hippies and grow long hair?" In fact, you could modify these remarks for the 50s, the 70s, and on. Although we can attribute much of youthful behavior to hormones and peer culture, the truth is that we adults still have a major impact on their lives during that coming-of-age period. We just don't provide enough opportunities. We won't go out of our way to connect, and we don't reinforce the values that we hold. We think they will not listen, appreciate, or gain anything from their time with us. Admit it, we are a little lazy and ultimately are a little afraid. Kids or young people in general need time with adults. We should take them to places, offer work experiences, and participate where they're involved. We should show genuine interest in what they do, ask questions, and listen closely to their answers. One of the previous ministers at my church challenged our men and said, "Don't be scared of these kids. Go up to them and talk to them. Tell them to pull up their pants, help them find a job, and take them with you to meet other adults. Then they will learn how the world really works." Young people know when an adult really cares. Hey, older people, let's help these kids to become productive, involved adults, so when they get older, they can wonder, what's wrong with these kids? We'd like to hear your thoughts about today's show. How many of you out there are going to invest some time in a kid or offer them a work opportunity? Email your comments to focus@lakeshorepublicmedia.org or reach us through our website, which is listed on your screen. Join us next week for another Lakeshore Focus. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.